Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Firm Report, brought to you by Exults. I am Pat Hilton, joined by Zach Hoffman, and happy Monday,
What's up,
everybody.
Matt? Happy Monday. How are you doing today?
Oh, just wonderful. Another beautiful day in the mix, getting things done with you, sir, and It's been busy.
Ready to rock and roll?
Of course.
Yeah, ready to rock and roll today?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, break it down. What do we got on the hopper?
Yeah, so to start off, we got our settlement wins spotlight, so Instagram leaders board. Then we'll go into some case type marketing strategy when we're talking PI. Then we have our digital creator spotlight, Mike Raffi. If we didn't cover him before, we'll probably cover him now and cover him again and again. Then we'll be going to essentially some content spotlight, looking at Veteran Day ideas for law firms, and then our CE for lawyers.
I love it.
Covers what we got on the hopper today.
Sounds good. Going to be another exciting show, ladies and gentlemen. If you've got questions, feel free to shoot me or Zach a DM. I am loading up the chat box to be able to respond live here on the show. And with that being said, Zach, go ahead and take it away.
With our top settlement, we got $29.7 million by Adler Law. It was an auto and a bike accident. They need to put a little more, we just ask you to put a little more detail into the actual settlement so we can actually get more clarity as to what they are, and that's also great to provide for the consumers. Morgan & Morgan in Tampa had a $7.13 million settlement. Then we move forward to Jacoby and Myers, a $2 million MVA accident settlement. Then you got Turnbull, Moak, Pendergrass, $1.75 million traumatic brain injury. It was a consumer that was essentially rear-ended by a commercial vehicle. Then you have NST Law in Memphis with a 1.01 car crash accident settlement. And then Andijar and Levine hitting the board with a $1 million settlement, a commercial trucking-related accident over here in the Florida market. And that sums it up for our Instagram leaders board. If you're not posting your settlements today, we highly encourage you to continue posting your settlements and make sure that you're giving a little bit of detail as to what the accident was, what a plaintiff or victim might have actually had occur to them, and how consumers can actually reach out to you to learn more about the related accident, if it's related to something that unfortunately happened to them or a loved one, and really make sure that you're hitting these settlements on the board.
Yeah, I think that if you're not announcing what you're doing or you're not making it known, unfortunately, because social media is how people communicate, they literally don't think you did it. There's the old joke that if you didn't post that you were at the gym, then the workout doesn't count. And I mean, it almost goes the same way with inside of your business. If you're not showing people, telling people, and showing examples of what you're doing, why you're doing it, who you're serving, it's almost like they don't believe that you exist. And so social media, while being a great accountability platform, it's also a great place to showcase what you're doing, why you're doing it, and who you're serving.
For sure. Totally agree with that. So, you got any other tidbits of top, advice to add there, Pat?
Well, I mean, I think that it's just like we talk about every day on the show. You want to be consistent. You want to be holding yourself accountable. I think that when people scroll through your page and they say, hey, this person posts pretty much every day of the week, it says something about you. It says something about your brand, where if they go to a competitor or someone else that's maybe recommended for a job or something, and they scroll through and they see nothing, they automatically think that person's not busy. They think that person's not prepared, and they're going to choose the person that's active. So make sure you are.
For sure. Well, as we move forward here onto our next topic, we got case type marketing strategies. So when it comes to injuries, quote unquote, personal injuries, which seems to be, I would say, the industry standard of how it's stated, but I would call it an injury. Accidents are unplanned, so please, people need an immediate solution. So it's important for law firms to be showing up first and fastest when it comes to online, when it comes to the search results, looking at Google Maps, the generative AI results, search and AI overviews, as well when people go to social media, making sure that they understand and can communicate with your firm proactively, making sure your social media presence is quick, clear, and concise with information related to potential accidents or injuries, and just make sure that there's potential client testimonials, prior settlements, and different information so consumers understand that your firm is the place to go. It's also important to highlight local involvement, so sponsoring potential safety awareness events in the local market. Driving schools can tie your brand to prevention and not just litigation. So, some key things to essentially look at are audit your Google business profile, make sure the reviews are up to date, hours, contact information, and that you're always reaching out to get potential reviews. Launch potential targeted ads through platforms like Google, Bing, as well as meta ads for related accident type searches and interests, as well as make sure they're geo-specific and geo-targeted. Produce short form videos answering any common questions that you basically field related to accidents, and then collect and repurpose video testimonials from past clients and continue to reinforce and resurface those throughout your feed. You can also connect with local organizations such as schools, police, as well as the fire departments, all responding to accidents, and create many community tie-ins. It'll assist you from a consumer perspective as well as a potential referral aspect in the future. And those are some ways to really hit it hard when you're looking at creating more injury accident awareness in your marketplace.
Yeah, awareness is everything. And I think that if people aren't aware that you exist, how can they do business with you, right? That's the old Cardonism, is that attention is a currency. And so the more you make yourself available, the more you're going to be available to serve people. The other thing that we've talked about, something that you always tell people to have, is a great website. Put your content on your website, update your website. Now we're seeing Instagram, TikTok, YouTube are now ranking you on Google. So if you're a personal brand or you're a company or an agency and you're posting content every day, that content is going to rank right up there with your website on Google search results. So make sure that when people type in your name, or that they're searching for lawyers, or they're searching for people in a certain zip code or area or location, that you come up, that they can see your videos, they can see the value that you bring, and ultimately choose you.
Yeah, and the websites are big credibility cornerstone, right? So you have to make sure your website's up to date, that it looks relevant to a user, and that if a consumer trusts you on social media, that they come back to your website, and the trust factor really checks in on all horizons.
100%. That's the whole point of social media, is to get people to trust you, to get people to see what you do, give them a good dose of how you can service them, and then send them to a link where they can either book a call, or they can get a free consultation, or at least get some kind of idea of how you can service them, whether they choose you or not. They're going to go outside of their, little group and tell people, hey, even though maybe we didn't use this service or whatever, I will in the future if I do need to use that type of a service. That's where you get the recommendations from. Sometimes it's from people that don't even use you. They just like you.
Yeah, I mean, I would say some of these major social media influencers in the legal space, when it comes down to like why they're continuing to post or who they're even posting to, it could be friends or referral sources and not necessarily the victim themselves. Because unfortunately, when there is a major case, the victim themselves might not be incapacitated and not necessarily able to make decisions on their own behalf. So these other influencers in the legal space definitely kick in and dominate the conversation in a lot of situations.
Yeah, and that's what they always tell you too, is if you're in a situation where you need legal representation, to let the legal representation do the speaking for you. That's what they're there for. And so that all goes into the protocol of making sure that you're working with the right people in whatever category it is. Here it's lawyers.
Exactly. So as we move forward here, and essentially we're speaking a bit about social influencers. When we look at our digital creator spotlight this week, we're talking Mike Raffi Lawyer. That's his handle. Essentially, he's really been, I would say, just creating a lot of aspects of the industry himself, and just what people should be doing. But when you go to Instagram, he has got 89,300 plus followers. On TikTok, he has 285,000 plus followers. On YouTube, 584,000 subscribers. And on Facebook, about 2,300 followers. But really showing his emphasis on these other channels, and essentially catering to the audiences that he's looking to reach. When we're talking about who he is, so he's Atlanta-based. He focuses on personal injury, wrongful death, trucking accidents, and negligent security cases. He's been a trial lawyer. He's actively litigates and tries big cases with over 150 million recovered for his clients. And he's a content creator. Essentially, he runs a YouTube channel with hundreds of thousands of subscribers and millions of views across various platforms. And he's also an educator. When you watch his content, he could be educating the next associates and attorneys out there, as well as consumers themselves. He shares daily content, breaking down legal strategy, litigation lessons, and business insights for both the public and other lawyers, which is really critical. And then he's also got a podcast that he hosts, where his co-host, Married to the Law, is actually with his wife, and it blends personal life and professional insights as well. He's really a thought leader when it comes to his space. He speaks at legal conferences, testifies on different aspects when it comes to tort reform, and contributes to legal discussions beyond just marketing to prospective clients. And he's been a boundary pusher, essentially gaining a lot of notoriety through his social media posts and really being out there creating a lot of influence and a lot of bold content.
Well, and that's why we're talking about him. I mean, the people
Correct.
who are available are the people that you find. And I think that this is something people talk about. You know me, Mr. Music. I always go back to entertainment. But you hear a song on the radio and you're like, oh, man, I feel like it's not even that great of a song. Why is that song so famous? It's like, well, dude, somebody recorded it, made it available, somebody got a hold of it, and now it's famous. The person that's got great ideas in their head that doesn't publish it and make it available never gets discovered. So don't be that person that's got a hit in your head that nobody hears, or a hit on your hard drive, or an incredible business model, or an incredible lawyer marketing idea that sits on your computer. Put it to work, put it into action, and get it out there, because nobody can hear it or see it or believe it unless you make it available for them. And so it's just the old theory of the person that does the work gets the cheese.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, you know, posting content daily is something that Mike Raffi does. But also he's been setting the note here for a number of years. So continues to pile up, you know, aspects of, I would say, competitive advantage when it comes to a lot of law firms on social media and a lot of influence in general.
Yeah, I mean, when you're able to get hits and you're able to draw attention to yourself and you're able to be trusted and referred, you're essentially going to become the social authority. And that's essentially how we started doing the show, was that type of a stream of, you want to be the authority in your category. Well, then you have to prove that you are. You got to show the results, show yourself on stage, show the people that you're serving. And a lot of times what we see is, and Morgan & Morgan's really good at this, is just making themselves available on every panel, podcast, and interview that you can even find, and putting your name and attaching your name to it.
Oh yeah, there's huge names out there that are available for a number of podcasts, and will get on a podcast if it has enough reps and repetitions of exposure. And, you know, getting up to bat is just about everything in life.
100%, especially with social media, folks. It's free to use. And I think one of the things that freaks people out is they post something and it gets 80 views and they're like, oh my gosh, it only got 80 views. Put 80 people in a room, it's quite a few people. Put 8,000 people in a room, it's a lot of people. Put 80,000 people in a room, it's a lot more people than you think that are seeing your stuff every week, every month, every year. And so the more consistent you are, you're doubling those numbers. So keep it up, folks.
Yeah, and definitely it doesn't happen overnight. So repetition is key. And just, you know, when you think there's no audience watching or listening, definitely somebody out there is watching and listening. I assure you that.
100%. Just because they're not liking or commenting doesn't mean they're not seeing your stuff.
Oh, we hear it all the time. There's definitely people, I would say, out there lurking around in social media that are essentially like watching your content or taking a position on it, but they might not be engaging with it at all.
100%. 100%. Zach, take it away. What do we got next?
As we move forward here, we're talking content ideas. So Veterans Day ideas for law firms. We're looking at November 11th. So the big picture here is Veterans Day. It's a chance to serve those who served us. So law firms can build trust and goodwill by offering resources, spotlight veterans, and showing, essential placement in the community. Why it works, it builds trust and credibility, offer potential evaluations, or legal help to veterans, and then highlighting any veteran staff that you might have, as well as veterans in the community that you may have served. There's a lot of emotional connection, sharing, stories related to veterans, and running veteran spotlights definitely has a warm spot with a lot of Americans, because we are thankful to our veterans and those that serve, essentially the community, the United States as a whole, to protect a lot of the freedoms that we do have. And when it comes to community visibility, so there's a lot of events around Veterans Day, such as parades, 5Ks, and other ceremonies where you can patriotically position your brand and create a positive impact. There's also aspects with social media engagement. So short clips, veteran spotlights, adoption events, creating shareable, feel-good content that travels far beyond just the firm's page. And it does create partnership leverage. So working with potential veteran organizations in the local community will build you a lot of credibility go forward. And a lot of us all have veterans within our families or friends as well that, we can all, relate to.
Yeah, I think that people, especially as they grow up, they start to see how hard it is to make it and how hard it is to build a business and grow. And we don't get the opportunity to do anything like that without the people who serve in the military, past and present. And so we're, of course, grateful for that. And it is our duty and our obligation to make sure that we serve at the highest level within our category as marketers and as enthusiasts of people going out there using their voice for good, building something in this incredible economy and making something happen for yourself. Listen, it doesn't matter any of the stuff associated with outside of business. We don't focus on. We focus on handshakes, building good connections, having a great circle of people around us, and winning together. And that's it. We don't let any of the other noise come in. We take the opportunity and we run with it. And I think that anybody that you meet that's successful thinks the same way. We're here to do business. We're here to stay in our lane, and we're here to win.
For sure. As we move forward here, we have our next topic, essentially CE for lawyers. When we're looking at CE, we're looking at the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. The big idea behind Think and Grow Rich, it provides a blueprint as to how to apply yourself to your career, building trust, sustaining momentum in various markets, and essentially having a definition of purpose, being crystal clear as to your focus and your goals, as well as visualization and desire, picturing outcomes that you want, and essentially creating the strength that it's going to create if you create this persistence, that you're essentially going to shine through any setbacks that you have, and you're persistently going to drive towards your specific goals. And it really, harps in on persistence over perfection. And Hill stresses that its persistence is the number one differentiator between those who plateau and those who essentially grow over time. So there's a lot of mastermind principles also embedded in the book. So building a trusted network of peers, mentors, or even non-legal advisors to collaborate and share ideas that are going to assist you in compounding your growth, and essentially having faith and self-belief. So having the confidence and believing in your values and making sure that it shines through to your clients, as well as even prospective juries that you might be in front of. And if you want to go get more information about it, essentially, it's the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's a timeless book, timeless education, within, a specific platform. There's also a number of different podcasts or YouTube video iterations, but there's a lot of, I would say, gems within this book.
Yeah, I mean, anything Napoleon Hill is top of the class, top notch. But yeah, I mean, folks, get out there and grab that book. I even think, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
You should order it and support the author. But I mean, there's downloadable versions of that everywhere. You can listen to it on YouTube on fast forward.
It's a book you could almost read like once, twice, 3 times.
Exactly.
I mean, at least once a year, or check in with it every couple of years. There's always gems to get out of Think and Grow Rich. It's 100%. Not I'd say a one-time read. It's definitely something to read once, read again in a couple of years, and then read again. Just keep reinforcing it throughout your life. If there's only a handful of books you read,
that should be one of them.
One of them. Yes, for sure.
And one of the things that they discuss in there is what I said on the last transition was that you've got to get around a good circle of people that are doing something. Yeah. Napoleon Hill went around and interviewed all these successful people when he just didn't even have any money, or it was either him or Andrew Carnegie, one or the other, that did that, or both.
It was funded by Carnegie. It was funded as a result of he wanted to understand why some of his friends were so successful and others just weren't.
And he went and interviewed these people.
Correct. He went out and interviewed a number of people, basically on his behalf. But Napoleon Hill was funded to write this book. And essentially, there's a lot of diamonds in there because it's all the learnings of what are the DNAs that are linked between all these successful people versus those that worked so hard and didn't necessarily have as successful of outcomes.
100%. And I think that it goes right back to the dialogue, to the conversation and the connection being everything. Yeah. You're having a foot in the door with successful people means that you have an opportunity to ask those people questions no one else can ask. And I think that's why why content's becoming so much more dialogue driven, conversation driven, podcast driven, panels or anything that's going viral that you see. A lot of it is conversations. Not everybody agrees on either side of the conversation, but being able to make your point known and your stance known, that's the kind of stuff people are consuming right now. And it's been that way for a few years. I only see it getting more and more popular. So create a conversation around how you serve and post every day.
Yep, for sure. For sure.
I love it. Zach, anything else on the hopper, or should we give them a tip for the week here?
Yeah, so tip for the week here. I don't necessarily. Do you have anything else to discuss on the hopper?
I mean, mainly, I think that people really need to just get comfortable with just having conversations with people. I mean, we've got some transitions. We throw a little music here and there, but our basis of doing this is to add value to the lawyer space and to show law firms that there is a way to market using social media, generating online leads, and that you should be doing it. The big firms are doing it. The biggest players are doing it. They're going to keep doing it. And so if you aren't doing it, you're already competing with the people that are. So make yourself heard, make yourself known.
And it goes beyond social. It goes from social, creating content and, looping it back into your website. But there's a lot of aspects as to, why we're out here having the dialogue and just creating informational tidbits for people to apply to their practice, literally today.
Yeah. And that's the game is that whole thing is the game.
But when it comes to, like an action item or like specific thing, not all podcasts are created equal, right? Or podcasters. And that goes between me, you might like listening to somebody. I might like listening to somebody else. But they all have different interviews. And I'm taking this to an application that I had this weekend when I was actually had a commute of an hour plus. I went to Zane radio show. Zane, I don't know if you listen to Zane on Apple Podcasts or Apple interviews.
I've heard of him. I've heard of Zane. Yeah.
Awesome. So he gets all the best interviews, in my opinion. But he had an interview with Jerry Brockheimer, very insightful. And, the reason I say about podcasters is like make sure that you kind of can relate to the podcaster because they extract different information from people in different ways. I think Zane's great. But the interview with Jerry Brockheimer, if you have the opportunity to listen to it, Brockheimer is, I would say, he's probably one of the top, producers, directors of our time when it comes to like action movies. And he talked about the beauty of like working with Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt, talked about F1 and he talked about Top Gun. It was really insightful. It was awesome. But he also, spoke to the value of a minute, or like how he decides to allocate his resources and his budget when it comes to producing these mega films that he's making, because he has budgets that go into the 9 figures. I mean, this is a guy who's had, I would say hundreds of millions, if not films that produced over $1 billion over their time.
Oh, yeah.
So he gets the budgets to produce that next film. And essentially, Zane asked Brockheimer, he goes, how do you choose what minute to invest in, or what scene to put a lot of your resources into when you're planning your budget or how it goes? And he said, when it's something that's only planned to be 30 seconds or a minute, I don't really go heavy on it. But he's like, when I have a 4-minute, 10-minute scene segment that I'm investing in, he's like, you better believe that's going to be a lion's share of our budget and our focus when we're creating these films and these movies. He also did speak a lot to Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise, and having the fortune and the luxury to be able to work with, talent of that level, and the ability to let talent and actors like that work on his behalf to essentially make him look good in a lot of ways, but allowing those experts to shine. Whereas some producers or directors have been said to say, oh, they're overarching or overbearing actors to work with. He said the fact is, he goes, those guys are prime geniuses. And if you let them shine their genius into your work, it's made Brockheimer look great in a number of situations. But to take this all back, find a podcaster that you like to listen to, how he interviews his, interviewees. And, really, I would say start to listen, put in the reps and listening to the lessons and the knowledge that they extract from the people that they're interviewing.
Yeah, that's solid. Yeah, Jerry Bruckheimer officially became a billionaire in March 2019. One of Hollywood's most prolific and successful producers. Best known television series was CSI, and some of his best known films include Pirates of the Caribbean, Black Hawk Down, Pearl Harbor, Flashdance, Top Gun, and more. So those are obviously pretty big names. So, ladies and gentlemen, we want you to go out there and be a big name.
Oh, yeah. And there's another key thing that Brockheimer did talk about. He said, a lot of people are worried about, like, I would say, the noise from people that are going to be watching you, or people that are going to be giving you this like feedback loop of criticism. He basically said, ignore the critics. He said, at the end of the day, with a lot of his films and his productions, he's making them for himself and a lot of like purpose as to what he's trying to communicate to his end user. Which is why at Exults, we're out here sharing information and details, with our end users, because we want to be bringing you knowledge. And we don't really take any criticism from what people put out there, because we've heard enough. But, essentially coming from the top, coming from Brockheimer, ignore the critics when you're pursuing that goal of being that information source for your consumers and your end users. It's really critical to have, your sights on that end goal in mind, and that goal is going to keep moving. So, essentially,
we keep it positive too. Anything that we do on this show, we're here to show you guys love. We do not pull up people's sites and crack on them. Trust me, I've texted Zach some terrible looking billboards from the middle of nowhere, and they did not make it on the show, because we're not here to rip on people. We're here to show who's doing it the best. We want to model after the best, and that's why that's the only thing we disclose.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You just, put the effort in, you get an A for putting in the effort, and then everything else falls in. But, if you get a chance, go check out, Zane Radio Show on Apple Podcasts. And that Brockheimer interview is just awesome.
I love it, dude. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. It's the Firm Report, brought to you by Exults. And we will see you on the next one, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you, Pat. You have an awesome week.
Yes, sir.